Survivability is important in Warframe. If you have found this video, or someone has sent you this video, you are now taking an important step to becoming a more successful Warframe player. In Warframe, learning how to not die requires understanding the three fundamental steps of survivability. Step 1. Increase the amount of damage you can take. In Warframe, the way we describe the amount of damage we can take is EHP, or effective health points. This is different from your in-game health points, which can absorb more or less damage based on factors such as armor or damage reduction. I will describe various methods that generate a substantial amount of effective health points, even if they don't increase your in-game health points. From this point forward, understand that there will be some mild gameplay and story spoilers. Method 1. Sentient-like damage resistance. There is only one mod that uses this method: adaptation. The way adaptation works is when you take damage from an enemy, you generate resistance, or damage reduction, against that type of damage. The amount of resistance you can accumulate per damage type is 90%. An interesting note about adaptation is that upgrading it only increases the rate at which damage resistance is accumulated, not the total amount that can be accumulated. So, adaptation retains most of its benefit even when unranked. With such a powerful effect and a 2 mod capacity cost, most of the time you can and should make space for at least an unranked adaptation on almost every Warframe build. Method 2. Health and Armor. Vitality and Steel Fiber, as well as their umbral counterparts, multiply a Warframe's health and armor. Armor gives damage reduction to damage taken to health. For example, 300 armor gives 50% damage reduction, while 600 armor gives 66% damage reduction. We can see that health benefits from more armor, which in turn benefits from more health. This makes for a strong, synergetic combination. Since these mods multiply existing health and armor values, Warframes that start with a lot benefit a lot, while frames that have little to begin with barely benefit at all. Generally speaking, Warframes with 150 armor or more can benefit from using an armor mod. Also, using health and armor mods on your Warframe make link health and link armor stronger on your non-sentinel companions. If using a health and armor setup, there are many options that can give additional support. If your Warframe is using umbral mods and benefits from ability strength, Umbral Intensify is a strong option. Umbral mods enhance one another, and thus equipping another one gives you bonus health, bonus armor, and bonus ability strength. Vigor, Primed Vigor, Armored Agility, Gladiator Resolve, and Gladiator Aegis are all mods that give additional health and armor. They're not as powerful as the Vitality and Fiber mods, so equipping them gives diminishing returns. It's up to you if you think they're worth the mod slots. Additionally, Wisp's Vitality Reservoir is an ability that increases the maximum HP of you and nearby allies. One arcane of particular interest is Arcane Guardian. Every time you are damaged, you have a 20% chance of getting 600 armor, or 1,200 armor with 2 full sets. This is great because it gives a flat armor bonus. A Warframe that doesn't benefit from having their armor multiplied will benefit from having this armor added to their existing armor value instead. Like adaptation, it does require getting hit to activate, so keep in mind it probably won't save you from getting one-shot by units such as snipers or bombards. As a source of armor, it still benefits from health, so Vitality and Arcane Guardian is a viable alternative to Vitality and Steel Fiber. Health conversion gives stacks of armor from picking up health orbs, which are consumed upon taking damage. Due to the infrequency of health orbs dropping from enemies, this is only advised for Warframes with abilities that can generate health orbs. such as Necro's Desecrate or Neja's Blazing Chakram. Equilibrium can help sustain health orb generating abilities. Synth Fiber is a companion mod that has the hidden benefit of allowing health orbs to be picked up at full health. Arcane Pulse is an arcane that has a chance of giving additional health to you and nearby allies when picking up a health orb. Broken Scepter, Synth Deconstruct, and Dig are additional options for generating health orbs, though they are not sufficient alone. Method 3. Energy as Health. Quick Thinking and Gladiator Finesse are mods that, when your health is drained, uses your energy as pseudo-health instead. Since your energy is treated as health, it benefits from armor as well. This is a strong setup for Warframes that can generate energy, such as Trinity. Be careful of things that can drain your energy, such as Magnetic Procs or Energy Leech Xmas. Several ways of generating energy include dropped energy orbs from killed enemies, Arcane Energize, which gives you and nearby allies bonus energy when you pick up an energy orb, Energy Siphon, with optionally Coaction Drift, which is an aura that gives you and your squad energy over time, Xeneric Energizing Dash, an operator skill which also gives you and nearby allies energy over time, and Squad Energy Restores, which is a gear item that gives you and nearby allies on-demand energy, as well as energy over time. If using energy as health, Flow and Primed Flow increase your energy pool, allowing you to build up a large buffer of EHP over time. Hunter Adrenaline and Rage convert lost health into energy, so taking damage to health gives you energy, which gets converted into more pseudo-health. Using a health mod makes Hunter Adrenaline and Rage stronger. Arcane Nullifier gives an 80% chance to resist a magnetic proc. Equipping 2 sets can add up to a 100% chance. For example, a full rank 3 set, which gives 80%, and an unranked rank 0 set, which gives 20%, adds up to 100%. Taking heavy damage when you're out of health has a chance of causing you to stagger. If you find this becomes a problem, you can increase your stagger recovery by equipping Pain Threshold. Method 4. Shields. Redirection is a mod that multiplies your shield capacity. Warframes with abilities that can generate shields will likely work best with the shield-based setup. Shields regenerate over time, which is appealing to new players who lack methods of healing themselves. Shields are weak to magnetic procs, and don't benefit from armor, but they do benefit from damage reduction, such as adaptation. With this setup, Link Shields is the mod of choice for companions. Vigor, Primed Vigor, and Augur Cords are mods that give additional shields with diminishing returns. Arcane Aegis and Arcane Barrier are examples of arcanes that benefit shields. When damaged, Aegis gives shields over time, while Barrier has a chance of restoring all your shields. One problem with shield-based setups is that Slash and Toxin procs from enemies ignore shields, attacking your small health pool directly. You can mitigate this by equipping Rapid Resilience, which will reduce the duration of those procs by 75%. Sancti Magistar reduces the damage of status effects by 75%. Arcane Nullifier will prevent magnetic procs from reducing your shields. Brief Respite and the Augur mod set convert the energy spent on abilities into shields, which become more useful the more often you cast abilities. The shield recharge rate can be increased with mods such as Fast Deflection, Fortitude, and Vigilante Vigor. High shield regeneration will increase the strength of Arcane Aegis. The Rakta Dark Dagger generates shields when attacking an enemy affected by a radiation proc. Finally, Squad Shield Restorers, Guardian, Shield Charger, and Taxon's Molecular Conversion are additional options for restoring shields. Method 5. Protection abilities. Abilities such as Chroma's Vex Armor and Mesa's Shatter Shield can give protection, such as armor or damage reduction. These types of abilities are usually kept active at all times, and the effectiveness varies depending on your build and the ability itself. Of course, these abilities can, and often are, combined with some of the setups previously listed. Arcane Tanker is an arcane that, when a heavy weapon is equipped, gives 1,200 armor per full set for 16 seconds. Warframes with abilities that benefit from armor, such as Rhino's Iron Skin, can utilize this short armor burst to their advantage. The protection these abilities give will be erased upon contact with nullifier bubbles, so having a weapon with a high fire rate, or Mitre with neutralizing justice, is recommended for popping them quickly. There are many beneficial specters, but the most prominent may be the Ancient Healer Spectre that, when deployed, has the ability to give 90% damage reduction to nearby allies. There are also many different possible Tenno-Spectres that can increase your survivability. For example, an Oberon Spectre can give healing and armor to nearby allies. Method 6. Damage reduction while airborne. Aviator, Aerodynamic, and Agility Drift are mods that give damage reduction while airborne. This is utilized by repeatedly jumping, then aiming, known as aim gliding. Some explosive AoE weapons deal self-damage if the projectile hits something nearby, often a passing enemy or ally. The risk of hitting nearby entities on the ground is mitigated when airborne, making this setup an appealing option. The duration of your aim glide can be increased with Tractor Beam, Aerodynamic, Pack Soar, Patagium, Mobilize, and similar mods, Stealth Drift, and various arcane helmets. Telos Boltace will increase aim glide duration by 20% while wielded. Zephyr's passive gives her reduced gravity, thus slowing down her aim glide descent. As a side note, Zephyr would probably not use airborne damage reduction mods since her turbulence ability makes her immune to projectiles anyways. However, abilities such as Titania's Razor Wing and Hildren's Aegis Storm keep their respective Warframes airborne, and therefore synergize well with airborne mods. The Modus and Arrow mod sets give various utility when airborne and aim gliding. Overview, Broad Eye, and Air Recon are mods that reduce zoom while aim gliding. Exodia Contagion is a Zaw arcane that allows a Zaw to fire a projectile while aim gliding. Sliding while aim gliding will perform a jump kick. The mod Gale Kick doubles your jump kick damage, but even with this mod, jump kicks will not deal very much damage. Method 7. Damage reduction while wall latching. The Proton mod set gives damage reduction and utility while wall latching. Wall latching is performed by aiming while airborne next to a wall. However, while wall latching, you are not considered airborne or aim gliding in regards to buffs and effects that require you to be in that state. The default duration of a wall latch is 6 seconds. Loki's passive allows him to wall latch 10 times longer, giving him a default wall latch time of 60 seconds. Ironically, Loki's ability to turn invisible means he doesn't really need damage reduction to begin with. Wall latch time can be increased with Aerodynamic, Pack Soar, Patagium, Mobilize, and similar mods, Stealth Drift, and various arcane helmets. Telos Boltace will also increase wall latch duration by 20% while wielded. Arcane Arachne is an arcane that gives plus 100% weapon damage for 20 seconds after a 2-second wall latch. The buff does not refresh while continuing to wall latch after the buff has ended.
Automatic is a mod that gives healing over time after wall running. It's certainly an awkward way of healing yourself, but it uses a robotic companion's mod slot, not a Warframe mod slot. And so, those are the many different setups you can mix and match to increase your EHP. Being able to take many hits from enemies is a valuable strength. However, there are hard mathematical limits on how much damage you can withstand. Increasing the amount of damage you can take is only one part of the equation. The other part is step 2. Reduce the amount of damage you take. Method 1. Crowd control. Crowd control, also known as CC, is the manipulation of enemies or groups of enemies in your favor, typically to increase squad and reduce enemy DPS. The first and most straightforward way to do this is to clear them. They can't attack you if they're dead. Otherwise, you apply status and CC effects, usually with your Warframe abilities. The key to better crowd control is range. The more enemies that are affected, the greater the effectiveness. That range is known as AoE, or Area of Effect. Examples of CC abilities include Equinox's Rest, Limbo's Stasis, Nova's Molecular Prime, Loki's Radial Disarm, and Excalibur's Radial Blind. One noteworthy weapon of interest is Zenistar, a daily login reward melee weapon. Charge attacking with the Zenistar releases a disc that applies damage and status effects in an AoE. The Zenistar synergizes well with Mirage's Hall of Mirrors. Method 2. Invincibility. Invincibility makes you immune to damage and status effects, although temporarily and or at a cost. At the start of a mission, you are invincible for 5 seconds. After reviving yourself, you are invincible for 9 seconds. The operator can access invincibility in multiple ways. Upon using transference, the operator is invincible for 1 second. While in operator mode, your Warframe is invincible. On this channeling a Warframe ability, then your frame has 90% damage reduction instead. Your operator is invincible and invisible while in void mode, and by extension while void dashing. This makes void mode useful for hacking, reviving, capturing, negating operator fall damage, and picking up power cells, data masses, and so on. Rolling Guard, after initiating a roll, clears status effects and grants 2 to 3 seconds of invincibility. The invincibility starts at the beginning of the roll, so speeding up the rolling animation allows for more of the invincibility time to be used freely. This is done by increasing parkour velocity, which can be achieved with Amalgam Barrel Diffusion, Endurance Drift, Mobilize, and similar mods, Hit and Run, Arcane Agility, and Arcane Consequence. Blocking with a melee weapon mitigates 100% of the damage received from the front of the Warframe, with different weapon types covering a wider or narrower angle. Animation-based CC, such as knockdowns from Arson Eximus Fire Blasts, or pulls from Scorpion and Ancient Grappling Hooks, can be prevented by blocking. Blocking has supporting mods that can improve or give additional utility. Avenging Truth allows Sylva and Aegis to store blocked damage and add it to the next charge attack. Electromagnetic Shielding redirects damage from nearby allies to yourself, good for protecting squishier Warframes in the squad. Guardian Derision follows a similar role, taunting enemies into attacking you instead. Guardian Derision, Amalgam Javlock Magazine Warp, and Reflex Guard give melee combo counter on block. Focused Defense increases the blocking angle. And Arcane Phantasm is an arcane that has a chance of giving additional sprint speed for 12 seconds on parry. Some abilities, such as Valkyr's Hysteria or Wukong's Cloudwalker, grant invincibility. Warframe abilities are dispelled upon contact with nullifier bubbles. Method 3. Speed. Running through missions as quickly as possible is another method of increasing survivability. The less enemies you interact with, the less damage you take. This applies primarily to captures, rescues, spy, Orcan Delrict vault runs, and so on. Sprint speed can be increased with runtime, dispatch overdrive, rush, amalgam serration, armored agility, sprint boost, optionally with coaction drift, speed drift, arcane phantasm, Kogake prime, and various arcane helmets. This is recommended for warframes with a high base sprint speed. The height and animation speed of bullet jumps can be increased with Mobilize and similar mods, Proton Pulse, Modus Signal, Anti-Grav Array, and various arcane helmets. The Telos Voltace boosts bullet jump velocity by 20% while wielded. This is good for warframes with low sprint speed or when a hobbled dragon key is equipped. Titania's Dust Bloom passive improves her bullet jump significantly. Sliding before sprinting or bullet jumping gives a speed boost. Slide speed and friction reduction is given by Maglev, Cunning Drift, and Streamlined Form. Neja's frictionless passive also improves his sliding significantly. Gun Glide, Double Barrel Drift, and Strafing Slide are mods that reduce recoil and spread while sliding. Rolling gives knockdown immunity and 75% damage reduction during the roll. As mentioned previously, the animation speed for rolling can be increased with parkour velocity. Various abilities such as Volt's Speed, Gauss's Mach Rush, Nova's Wormhole, and Nairmon Mind Sprint can be used to quickly traverse missions. Agile Aim, Snapshot, and Spry Sights increase movement speed while aiming. When falling with enough height, about 10 meters, your warframe suffers from a hard landing animation. Kavat's Grace allows you to fall from 31-meter high drops without hard landings. This mod is not recommended, as hard landings can also be prevented with rolling, sliding, aim gliding, or opening the menu before contact. Valkyr's Nimble passive also gives her immunity to hard landings. There are also other miscellaneous methods of avoiding damage. One crucial observation is that other players in the squad, as well as specters, will draw enemy fire away from you. Specters scale with the current enemy level, so deploying them late into the mission will grant them higher health and armor. Stealth prevents enemies from detecting and targeting you for attacks. Loki's Invisibility, Banshee's Silence, Equinox's Rest, Operator Void Mode, Arcane Trickery, Skiajati, Rakta Dark Dagger, and Weapon Noise Reduction mods are examples of different tools for obtaining stealth. Some abilities, such as Frost's Snow Globe, Nyx's Absorb, and Sanctuary, or Shelter, can create barriers that absorb damage instead of the player or objective. Other abilities, such as Rhino's Iron Skin, Anaris's Negation Swarm, Frost's Icy Avalanche, and Worm's Negate, can prevent CC effects on warframes. One of the more dangerous CC effects for the player is Knockdown, during which you are locked into the knockdown animation and are free to be attacked by enemies. Knockdown recovery can be increased with Handspring and Constitution. Valkyr's Nimble passive gives her increased knockdown recovery. Knockdowns can be resisted with Sure-Footed, Primed Sure-Footed, Power Drift, Fortitude, and Vacor Sidon. Atlas's immovable passive gives him knockdown immunity. Shock Absorbers gives damage resistance while knocked down. Many animation-based CC effects do not apply while locked into a different animation. For example, you cannot be pulled, staggered, or knocked down during a roll, melee slam attack, or while casting abilities. Finally, Cautious Shot reduces weapon self-damage by 99%. And those are a few of the methods you can use to reduce the amount of damage you take. Your health is a resource that must be maintained throughout a mission. Ideally, the health you start with at the beginning of a mission would be enough to complete the mission. Unfortunately for most of us, taking damage is inevitable, and staying in a mission long enough will cause you to eventually run out of health. Thus, we must take one last step to sustain ourselves through the mission. Step 3. Heal the damage that you take. Method 1. Operators. The operator has multiple options for healing your Warframe. Vazarin's Protective Dash allows the operator to void dash over Warframes, companions, and allies, including excavators and defense objectives, to heal 60% of their max health and give them 5 seconds of invincibility. Magus Elevate, Magus Repair, and Magus Nourish are all operator arcanes that can heal your Warframe. Method 2. Warframes. Many Warframe abilities, such as Trinity's Blessing, Oberon's Renewal, Wisp's Vitality Reservoir, and Anaris' Devour, provide healing. Arcane Grace is a Warframe arcane that has a 6% chance to heal 4% of your maximum health per hit. Therefore, the effectiveness of Arcane Grace increases with higher EHP. Arcane Victory has a 50% chance of healing 2% of your maximum health on headshot kills. This also applies to headshot kills by your Sentinel. Rejuvenation, optionally with Coaction Drift, is an aura mod that gives the squad passive healing over time. Combat Discipline is an aura that heals allies but reduces your own health on kills. The drawback is more manageable when not fully ranked, or with another way to heal yourself. Method 3. Companions. Mediray is a mod that allows robotic companions to occasionally heal their owner. Hunter Recovery allows beast companions to heal you when they inflict damage. The Strain mod set, specifically through Strain Consume, allows the Helminth Charger to occasionally heal a percentage of your currently missing health. Method 4. Weapons. Hema, Hirudo, Amalgam Daikyu Target Acquired, and Winds of Purity all give Lifesteal. Lifesteal will heal your Warframe a percentage of the damage dealt to enemies. Lifestrike and Sancti Magistar give Lifesteal on melee heavy attacks. Healing Return is a melee mod that heals your Warframe upon meleeing an enemy for each status effect currently afflicting the target. This is good with status weapons and AoE abilities that apply a status effect. Healing Return synergizes with Saren's Toxic Lash, which grants 100% chance to apply Toxin status with melee attacks to enemies. Purity, Justice, and Truth are syndicate weapon effects that, while a syndicate weapon or weapon mod is equipped,
Heal the player upon accumulating enough affinity in mission. Exodia Might is a Za arcane that grants lifesteal on non-ground finishers. The length of the finisher animation varies between weapon types and attack speed. Finishers have several support options. Anaris' Desiccation, Equinox's Rest, Naramon Executing Dash, and Vacor Sidon are examples of ways to open enemies to finishers. Ash Bladestorm automatically performs finishers on multiple enemies. Arcane Trickery and Skiajati grant invisibility on standing finishers. Arcane Ultimatum grants 600 armor for 20 seconds on standing finishers. And Covert Lethality doubles finisher damage for daggers. Finally, there are a couple of miscellaneous ways to heal. Health orbs are dropped from enemies and containers, and heal 25 health. Squad health restorers are a crafted gear item that heal squad members in a 15-meter radius. And so, those are the many options for healing yourself in a mission. With all these steps in mind, your survivability is pushed to the limit, allowing you to no longer be a burden to the squad. However, whether you're still on the path to improving your survivability, or fighting level 300 enemies that one-shot everything in sight, you may end up running out of health anyways, and that's okay. Step 4. If all else fails, revive. When you run out of health, you enter Bleed Out, and can either be revived by a teammate, or you can revive yourself. Reviving yourself costs 10% of your affinity gained during that mission. Reviving yourself will also revive your companion. You can revive yourself 4 times per mission, with an additional revive for each full Warframe arcane set equipped, for a maximum total of 6. Your Vaska Kavat, if you have one, can revive you with Transfusion. Your Sentinel can revive you with Sacrifice equipped. This synergizes with Regen, Primed Regen, and Jin's Reawaken. If Regen is placed above and or to the left of Reawaken, it will have higher priority and will be applied first. Some abilities, such as Wukong's 5 levels of Immortality passive and Oberon's Phoenix Renewal, can revive automatically. This is useful for bypassing the death mechanics in arbitrations. Undying Will increases bleed out duration, which also improves Loyal Companion for non-sentinel companions. Provoked increases damage during bleed out. Generally speaking, it would be better to mod in a way that prevents bleed out to begin with, but a Warframe such as Anaris, who can revive himself while in bleed out state, could benefit from bleed out oriented mods. While reviving others, Operator Void Mode allows you to revive allies while being invincible and invisible. Vazrin Mending Soul makes your revives instant. Instant revive usages are separate between Warframe and Operator, effectively doubling the number of instant revives from 4 to 8. Amalgam Shotgun Spaz and Trinity's Triage passive both increase revive speed. Sanctuary and Shelter are companion mods that create a barrier to protect you while reviving fallen allies. And now, finally, those are the 4 simple steps to not dying in Warframe.